High Stardust simulation. So today's video. Imagine you wake up every morning, you go to your warehouse paint store paint store job, and up to this point you've always worked at blue collar jobs. You take what you can get because you are told when you're poor, man, you just gotta take what you could get, man, and then get in there and just work really hard, and because something's better than nothing. And you're kind of forced into the position to just take whatever you can get because you start in poverty. You start at the very bottom. No support network, no help. And so over the years, you apply, you look for better opportunities, better pay, better future. So finally one day you land yourself at this warehouse. It's Monday through Friday. It's a paint store, automotive paint. And you think to yourself, okay, this could be a good future. This could be a good future. Temporarily until I am able to do what I want to do. This will hold me over. This could potentially hold me over. And so you go and you clock in every day. Well, this actually happened to me, and I gained custody of my son in the year 2012 because my son's mother, had a domestic, a rather unusually, just a strange domestic violence incident at her house. And so this allowed me to gain custody finally. And I got custody. He lives with me for a year. And toward the end of that year, interestingly and strangely, some weird, strange things occur, and we're about to close up the case, and then my attorney disappears out of nowhere. I visit her office, it's empty, and suddenly I'm getting letters saying that the case is terminated and that I immediately must return my son back to his homeless mother. And she's demanding for it. Well, what's happening is behind the scenes, she's maneuvering things because she has freedom to do this. She lives off of government, so during the daytime, while everybody else is working, including myself, she has freedom to figure out how to maneuver. She has freedom and access to resources that allows her to create the narrative. So if I had that freedom and were able to just freely roam about and then do my conspiracies and conspire and just, maybe I could have prevented that. But instead, I was working. In fact, it was the first time in my life during that summer that I attempted to work for myself for the first time in 2012. Because daycare was costing $100 a week, and I made $10 an hour. So that was $400 a week. So I thought, well, based on deductive reasoning and logic, and I lived with my mother at the time, based on deductive reasoning and logic, instead of paying the $400 a month, maybe I'll just go work for myself and take my son with me, which is what I did. And I started doing my own business because my job didn't pay me enough. And I could not just stop working. I couldn't just up and quit my job and then just lollygag around and apply for jobs like someone that's privileged. And so whenever I found myself in a courtroom having to return my son, which was so odd given the fact that she was fucking homeless, the court still motherfucking returned my son to the bitch. Despite my concerns about the property my son was about to go live on at his grandpa's, The judge literally looks at me and goes, well, the court understands why your concerns about her being homeless and the physical dangers of the property your son's about to go live on. But you know what, motherfucker? We're going to return your motherfucking son to his mom anyway. And then 10 years down the road, we're going to have us a $28 million building built off the pain of your son. And I'm going to get on the news and say, this new building is like Christmas motherfucking Day. Which is literally what that fucktard said in the news. The judge goes on the news and says, oh, this is like Christmas Day. The same motherfucking judge who looked at me and said, the court understands why you don't want to return your son to his mother due to her being homeless right now. And you got a 3-bedroom apartment and nice, safe and sound, and the property that he's about to go live on, there's a potential of him falling and getting hurt. We're gonna give him to her anyway. And then they erased all this off the record. They erased the whole motherfucking thing off the record. They took that shit off the record. That case never happened. So if I try to like go back into the court and bring that file up and use it in litigation in some future, it won't show up because it disappeared. And even the lady behind the desk, when I walked in there to get copies of the final order, she looked over and whispered, looked side to side, and she goes, I'm sorry about what you're going through. If there was anything, I wish I could really tell you, I wish I could tell you what really goes on back here. If I could just sit with you over a cup of coffee and tell you about what really goes on back here, I would. So, you know, that's what she did. Hold on a minute. Okay, I had to pause the video, but I'm back. So, yeah, the lady looks over, make sure nobody hears her, and she tells me she wished she could tell me what really goes on back there. Then the attorney that day that fought against me, that I had to represent myself that day, since my attorney had disappeared. Her office was empty. Her phone line was cut off. I had no idea what happened. I strongly believe my son's mother was behind this. So anyways, into some capacity, I don't know what she did to maneuver, because she's got free time. She's a leech to society. She just lives off of everything and everybody, and she always has free time. She's always driving around, going out to eat, you know, getting Starbucks and stuff like that. The only job that she's ever had, real job that she had, is she set her head down on the desk. I found, because when I met her, it looked like she was just like some girl that probably used to dabble in drugs and party like everybody else and became a single mom. And now she was turning her life around. She went to church, and she's got a job at a company working Monday through Friday, got her little 2-bedroom house that she rents, and she, on the surface, everything just like looks like, and before I would not date a girl like that. And then my Christian guilt came over me, and I thought, well, over the years, I thought eventually that everybody was right, and I was too judgmental. I thought everybody was right, and I was too judgmental. It turns out I was not too judgmental, that my intuition and my knowledge, my awareness of potential danger was correct. And so, you know, I thought, well, you know, let me give this chick a chance, you know. And then because I thought lowly of myself, I thought, this is the only type of girl, I'm never going to get the good Christian girl that I was taught to go after. And this is a long story about my beliefs and what caused me to get to that point. But I decided to give this girl a chance, only to find out later on that the reason why she was able to go to that job, she was getting paid to put her head on her desk. She was fucking the boss. And she was blackmailing him because he was married. That's what I found out. This was like after the fact, like after I found this out later on. So this was a demon demonic individual that was just going around using people, and she put on this Christian front like she was like just someone that was trying to change her life around. And I thought, well, as a Christian, I am supposed to be forgiving of, people's past, and as long as they're changing their life around, I'm supposed to be forgiving of this. And plus, it's the only type of girl I could get. I felt that low about myself. Later on, I've discovered that, I was a cool dude, and I actually went on dates with some pretty decent girls and some normal girls. This was after I got divorced and everything, right? So I was unaware. So anyways, I go to court. They hand my son back over to his mother while she's homeless, and I still did not know how to generate my own customers that well. I was posting ads on Craigslist mostly, and relying off of the advertising I did on Craigslist for my services. But I did not know how to charge people yet. I did not know anything, and so I knew immediately I was ordered to pay child support. So I knew that I had until they give me a certain date to begin paying the child support. And I thought, well, I'm never going to make that money out here on my own, so I'm going to start immediately applying for jobs. And I got lucky, and I found a job listing on Craigslist for a paint store, automotive paint, 85 locations across the country, 401k benefits and all that jazz. A place based in the South, and with locations all up and down the East Coast. So they're opening up a new location in the city, town right above me, and so I go to work there. They're opening up their new location. They hire me on as a warehouse guy / delivery driver, etc. Because I figured, well, in that 2-week time, I could, that'll give me the child support. That'll help me get that child support I need. And then I thought, well, also at some point I'll be able to, it's Monday through Friday. It's a paint store. It's a warehouse. Pretty simple. Pick the orders, ship them out, or deliver them. Work with the customer. Pretty simple, pretty basic, gig. And I figured I could do this for a while, and it was the first time in my life, after applying for jobs for years, I would work multiple jobs at a time. I did the jobs most people don't want to do because I am an actual hard worker. I look around me, I don't see other motherfuckers doing what I do. I never seen other motherfuckers like being forced to work. They just kind of like, they live life and then they go out there and work. They fit in culturally. They smoke. They watch football. They're just a copy and paste clone. They do everything everybody else does, and so they fit in at the jobs. They go to the job and they, to some degree, fit in with everybody because they like all that stuff and typical mainstream stuff, and smoke cigarettes and get drink on the weekends and anything typical blue collar, that fits that archetype, and they're just kind of apply for the job. They're maintaining the lifestyle they were given, that they were handed, and so they're working and I'm working, but I don't fit in. But anyways, point is I knew that by getting that job, I thought, I can, this is finally, because I looked for one of these types of jobs for years. I applied for jobs like this, and it was like the first one to ever hire me, because I've worked at warehouses and stuff. I've worked like at TJ Maxx and Duracell, I think, or Energize, whatever, the battery business, and built boxes for them to ship out the batteries. What else did I do? I worked at a warehouse for a while that they distributed like bearings and sheaves and anything related to like bearings and belts, things with machinery, right? In factories and warehouses, right? That's what they sold, and some automotive places. So I worked for them, but that was the warehouse from hell. And I eventually left that one. But here I was, and the people seemed cool at the paint store. I could tell that they were already born into what they were. I mean, eventually everybody gets to hear everybody's basic story. Everybody there is privileged. The manager, store manager slash sales guy, Jeremy, his daddy got him that job there. He grew up at home and lived with mommy and daddy, and while he was in college, he worked as a manager at a shoe store, and got to go home to some warm home cooked meals from mom whenever he needed it, or if he ever needed anything. He just living life on easy mode, and it was all given to him, and he gets to. And so daddy got him the warehouse job and at the paint store, and so Jeremy shows up late, and Jeremy paints football helmets using the paint that he purchases with his discount on the clock. He paints the football helmets because life on easy mode, right? And then the other guy was Ian, lived with mommy and daddy, worked at the warehouse, went to college to become a wildlife forest ranger, and something happened and he didn't get to be a forest ranger, so he just decided to just get a job somewhere and applied to become a worker at the paint store. And because of his degree, he's a manager. And Ian says that if you never went to college, it meant that you didn't take life seriously. And Ian was a cool dude other than that phrase, because he's had life on easy mode. And I've been at that point, once I met Ian, I've been working my motherfucking goddamn ass off. When he said that, I thought about all the jobs I worked and the many hours I worked, and so privileged to get to assume and make judgments on where you're at based on their experience that they project onto you, because it's what they would do if they were you, right? So, but in the beginning, I thought this was going to be a good job. And what will happen is, for years, eventually my son's mom's going to screw up again. So I'll work here, and I'll pay the child support payments every week like I'm supposed to. And I had non-Title 40 child support, okay? There are two types of child support. Nobody knows this shit, except very few people know this shit. There's non-Title 40 and there's Title 40. They're two different things entirely, even. One is court ordered, and one is a debt agreement. And nobody knows this shit, and this is why they keep everybody deceived on what child support really is. So I'm paying my child support, and I'm thinking I'm going to work here, and I'm going to, since I'm here, I'm going to pursue this. I've never gotten a job like this before. I've always tried to get one of these jobs that's like Monday through Friday, where the people are generally cool and they're just there to do the work and just get it done, and then we work and we go home, and then there's potential for raises, and I was imagining my future. I'm going to just show them that I work hard, and eventually, if a management position comes open, I'll apply for it. And by that time, and I thought to myself, my son's mom's going to screw up so bad one of these days that it's going to be inevitable. The courts can't make an excuse anymore. They won't be able to send my son back to her because she's home while she's homeless, right? They won't be able to do that because it's going to be so bad. And by that time, I'll probably have some kind of good pay at this job, or I'll be a manager or something, and that will look good on me. And then on the side, I'll do my side hustle in order to eventually work for myself. And that was my plan. All right. So, and I ended up working at that warehouse for 2 years, actually. But During that time, the problem is I made $10 an hour. Okay, this was 2013. I made $10 an hour. So after I would pay my child support and the expenses to drive to work and car expenses, food, because I lived with my mother, but I bought my own groceries, and then every other weekend I would get my son, so that would cost some extra money. And during the summers, I had to pay for daycare still. I got my son during the summers. So that meant that during the summers I would pay $100 a week, $400 a month. So that was a huge, basically I would have no money. So during the winter, I worked the job. This is at the same time when my family got kicked out. This is when my family got kicked out of the apartment complex because my sister moved in and she wasn't on the lease, and one of her kids was found roaming around with a diaper on, and so they said, "Oh no, we got to kick all of y'all out." So that's when all this happened, and that's when I found myself moving into the bedroom with the dude who ended up having potentially having CP on his computer. He had stuff that was not CP, but where it was technically legal, but it was enough for me to bail. Okay, it was enough for me to wait for him to go to church on Sunday, and while he went to church, I packed up all my shit and got the motherfucking fuck out of there. But the problem was that paint store, they never paid enough money to live on, so I was always broke. But I thought to myself, okay, this is just what you got to do until you can advance. Until you got to show them how you work and that you work. At that paint store, I literally had customers call in one time. I had a customer call in one time after I did my deliveries, and the regional manager happened to be there. He was over 3 different locations. And that regional manager told me that, could pat me on the back, and he's like, "Oh, so and so from Caliber Collision or whoever, called, and they said you do such a great customer service job, and oh, good job." So anyways, so imagine you just sitting there working this job for a couple years, and it's never paying off, and you're forced to go do side gigs and part-time stuff to supplement your income because the job doesn't pay enough. Now, I even got in there and started to, my job was just warehouse and delivery. I had no responsibility to take phone calls and learn the inventory on the computer. But when my manager, Jessica, she was the assistant store manager, when she got overwhelmed, and it was just me and her there a lot of the time at the warehouse, I started taking phone calls because I was working so much that it was a big warehouse. In that whole warehouse, I had rotated the inventory, always had everything open out of the box, ready to be, ready for a list to be created or an order to be created to be fulfilled. The box was already open, so that when that order came in, you just pick it off instead of having to open the box. I was always on top of it, to the point where I had nothing to do, because I would spend my whole boring ass motherfucking day moving stuff and shipping and all this stuff that I would get done, and she'd be overwhelmed. So I learned, I was like, okay, well, I'll start taking phone calls and I'll learn the inventory system. I was showing myself. But this is where all these people get on here and they'll be like, no excuses. They'll say things like, grow some balls and start doing it. Like, shift your mindset. Like, what the fuck? You're not saying anything. You're just sounding like you're saying something. But you're just spouting off platitudes. You're spouting off things that have no substance. So imagine I took their advice of, I'm trying to think of one of the things, because this is the stuff everybody says. This is the thing. They're spouting off platitudes. Everybody just talking like abstract, blah, blah, blah stuff that everybody says that has no substance. So I'm in that store literally doing what these stupid motherfuckers on these comments are implying. I am actually doing the shit that they are telling me that I need to do. So imagine you're at your warehouse job, and not only are you doing your job to completion, but you're going beyond that, and you're getting calls from the customers like complimenting you, and then you're getting pats on the back about what such good work ethic that you do, that the good work ethic that you're engaged, that you're you're getting compliments on your good work ethic, and you're like literally you are being what all these people are telling you to be. Not because they're telling you to be it, but you're just literally doing what you're supposed to do, and you're going above and beyond. That's my point. So imagine you're just sitting there. Imagine you're at your warehouse job or whatever job, and somebody walks up to you and goes, and you're struggling financially, and you're working on top of working that job. You're working part-time jobs and side gigs and stuff, and and you're not making enough, and somebody comes up to you and they start telling you, why are you struggling financially? Grow some balls. Start doing what you're supposed to. No complaining. Why are you whining? Like, what does that do? You low IQ moron. Like, you're literally in the mid. Imagine somebody, and you're doing everything. You're not wasting your money. You're not spending money, yet everybody's still coming at you and telling you all these stupid platitudes. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're not, or what are you going to do? You're sitting there working, moving the boxes. You know what? I'm going to grow some balls. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm going to grow some balls. And I'm going to just do it. Here, let me open this box. See it? Oh, man. Okay, before I used to open the box and pull out all 3 paint cans and set them on the shelf without balls. And now I pulled out that box and took out the 3 cans of paint and put them on the shelf with balls. Thanks, man. Thanks for your advice. Man. Where's the raise? Where's the... Oh. So it means nothing. You morons. You morons. Change your attitude. Duh, stop complaining. Okay. You stop complaining. Let's say you stop complaining. Before I used to take out the 3 paint cans out of the box and set them on the shelf, and I would complain. But now, this time around, I took the 3 paint cans out of the box and put them on the shelf, and I didn't complain. Man, thanks for that advice. I'm waiting for that raise now. I'm waiting for life to change. Oh, wait, it isn't. Because you are just speaking meaningless platitudes that have no substance, you dumb moron. You fucking moron. You're an idiot. These morons are idiots because they're just spouting off things that they've always been taught, and it wasn't their balls that got them anywhere. It wasn't that they stopped complaining. In fact, like I said, I was getting compliments about the work I did. It never changed the financial situation. I didn't, like, I put on the friendly customer service face. I put on the friendly employee face, or the go-getter attitude. I put on that persona. It even got complimented by the regional manager. Even got the regional manager goes, "Oh man, you know, I've noticed that you've been using the inventory and taking phone calls." Like, he was like, "I didn't know that you were able to do all that stuff." Constant pats on the back. This is why hard work doesn't work. It's your socioeconomic status. It's who they perceive you to be. It's not who you are or what you actually do. You fucking morons, man. Y'all are just stupid, man. Well, if that job doesn't recognize your hard work, then go get another one. You morons. It's the same motherfucking thing. Though that company ended up lying to us. They started to. It's the same thing. You just go try to find another job, and then they're not going to pay you. It's just the same process. That job actually ended up lying to us. They lied to the assistant manager, and after the second year, it was like a year and a half, a little over a year and a half into it, like a year and 6 or 7 months after we started working there, they told Jessica, they were like, "Yep, you're going to be promoted to store manager. We got big changes. We got some new big accounts. We're going to expand our warehouse and our inventory. And Jessica, you're going to be store manager, from assistant manager to store manager. And Ian's going to be moving on to another location, and you're going to be the store manager, and Billy's going to be the assistant manager under you. And since we're moving things along, getting bigger and all this stuff." and so I'm street smart. I can pick up on their bullshit, and she couldn't. She was all excited, and I hate it for her because she legitimately was excited about becoming the store manager. And I seen what they were doing. I seen them. I was like, these privileged motherfuckers. They think I'm stupid, and because I could smell it. I could smell it was not true, and so eventually, like, Ian, the warehouse store manager, moved on, and when it was time for them to promote her up and me up, she's like in her like late 20s, 28 or something like that, and I'm like 32-ish, I guess. Suddenly, out of nowhere, they hired this 21-year-old dude fresh out of college who grew up with mommy and daddy, and they made him the store manager and kept her as assistant manager. And I ended up running that motherfucker off. I ran him off because he got in there and he started acting like he was the big boss, large and in charge, and he's some young kid, 21, and big tall motherfucker that looked like a linebacker. And he's like, "All right, Billy, are you doing anything right now? Well, just make sure these boxes get," like, telling me to do the stuff that I'm already doing. Telling me the motherfucking shit that I'm already doing. I don't let people talk to me like that, man. After all that time, after all the pats on the back, and then all you motherfuckers on here want to comment, "Oh, grow some balls." Y'all are stupid, low IQ morons. I'm more than willing to get on a live. Once I figure out how to do live on my YouTube, I am more willing to do a live and debate or argue with you guys. Because once we start breaking down what happened, y'all act like you did it all on your own. But once we start breaking down the timeline of events that actually happened in your life, then we point out and see the true cause of how you got to where you're at. And I'm not knocking it. If you got lucky, I'm not knocking it. If you worked hard, I'm not knocking it. That's not the point. The point is it's not hard work. It's not growing some balls. It's not. Those aren't the things that get you where you need to go. What gets you where you need to go is pragmatism and practicality, and the circumstances aligning already. The circumstances, if they're not aligned to act as a conduit for your hard work to pay off, then the hard work is not going to pay off. It's simple logic. And my financial circumstances have always been a mathematical problem. never an identity problem. So that's why you morons are way out in left field, way off in abstract woo-woo land, because you're saying stuff that sounds hard and motivating, but you're actually not even saying anything, because you're just spitting out abstract things. You're not saying anything pragmatic or practical. That's point blank. In this instance, I changed my attitude. I didn't even change it. That's always been my attitude. I've always been a hard worker. I always show up on time. At that job, my manager showed up late every day. I got pictures of myself that I took sitting on the curb waiting on my managers at 8:20 a.m. when we open at 8. And y'all are going to try to argue and say, oh, well, that's a one-off situation. That's just a bad job. Like, that's just one bad certain. No, there's always some kind of stupidity that happens at these jobs. And so it has nothing to do with me. It's just a math thing. Learn about neuraptic connections and develop some. All right. Have a great day, everybody.